We're here with Nick Bobeck, head football coach, Central Oklahoma, following the Bronchos' 52-27 win over Missouri Southern. Coach, would you like to make an opening statement about the game?
Yeah, I was proud of our kids for fighting. We didn't play very well early on and turned the football over and put ourselves in some tough spots. Put the defensive side of the ball in some really tough spots, and those guys came through and did a really good job. Keeping those guys out of the end zone, and that football team has scored points on everybody this season. So I was really happy with our defensive football team, and especially after the way that the game started. With the fumble on the opening drive that's returned for a touchdown, and then multiple fumbles after that, and so it wasn't clean, but we found a way to get a win. And at the end of the day, that's what shows up on the record. So it's all good.
And then you want to go into Chandler Garrett's performance, what you thought about it?
Yeah, I mean he's a gritty kid, and part of it is, and he had a fumble on the day, and he had an interception on the day, and so he wasn't necessarily extremely clean on the day either, but he's a gritty kid. He if you ask him, he'll probably tell you that he didn't play extremely well. I don't know what his passing statistics were or anything like that, but he's just a gritty kid, and he finds a way to move the football team, and it's not always pretty. It's not how you draw it up sometimes, but he finds a way to do it, and I don't know that I can say much better about a kid than he's a tough, gritty kid, and that's what Chandler is, and our guys follow him.
Your offensive line helped open the holes for him. What did you think about their performance?
Man, I was really proud of those guys, honestly. Because we were without. We lose Jacob Blair early in that football game, and we're down to 5 right now. 5 guys that have played, and we've got some true freshmen that are possible. Possible guys that we could play if we have to, and. But I was really proud of those guys. That was a gritty performance on their part too, because they're playing every snap, including PAT field goal, and getting guys running into them. Hopefully we get a couple guys back next week. Hopefully we get the Sitzler kid back and the Grantham kid back next week, and we get a little bit more of a rotation. But man, Ben Ralston had to move out from center to tackle, which was interesting, and. And then Alex Eichler had to come in and play, kind of like what he had to do in the bowl game last year, and kind of in an emergency situation. And those guys, I haven't seen the video, but I mean, it was gritty and tough, and found a way to rush for 300 and some odd rushing yards. So really proud of those kids and their performance, and the H-back group. With as many tight end sets as we ran, and I was really proud of that whole group, and then obviously Chandler Garrett did a great job running the football behind them. So good group.
Defensively, the past couple of games, you've gotten, I believe, about 6 or 7 sacks combined here. What has changed, if anything has changed along that unit to help produce more of a consistent pass rush?
Well, that was a point of contention early on in the season. We weren't rushing the passer very well at all, but Coach Pickett's done a great job of making some adjustments. Some of it's been personnel. Some of it's been moving guys around and changing some techniques, and a little bit more of a attack react type situation rather than react attack type stuff. And you kind of play the run on the way to the quarterback, and so we don't. We've moved Draquan Brown down to defensive end, and he's probably the most natural pass rusher that we've got. We've moved him and put his hand in the ground full time now, and so those guys have done a good job. He's provided a spark. Michael Rios has provided a spark, being able to move into some different situations. But I think that's a great question, because those guys, the defensive staff, has done a good job of Coach Pickett and Coach Hill have done a good job of putting those guys in good situations where they can go function at a higher level.
In the secondary, I see you guys moved around. There's some people there too. What are your thoughts on their performance?
I was proud of them, man. I mean, because that group, that quarterback's probably as talented a quarterback as has played in this league since I've been in it. Honestly, from a talent standpoint, I mean, I think that kid's really talented. We followed him every game, and I've seen, you know, I've seen every game. I've seen every rep that kid's taken this season. So. That kid's talented, and they've got a good group of receivers. So I thought our defensive backfield played very well. You know, Chris Lewis played, I thought, really well until gave up that last touchdown, and that's more of a discipline thing, and just understanding the game. You know, you don't have to make an interception or a PBU on that. You need to just get him down. We're up 17 points. Get him down, and that's a learning process. Kids have to learn how to play the game, and we've got to do a better job of teaching some of that stuff too.
Daniel Ballman, he had an interception before the half, and I believe he had 3 breakups last week. What are you liking? What are you seeing out of Daniel Ballman?
No, Daniel's long. You know, he's long, and he does a really good job at the line of scrimmage. You know, that route that he got the interception on wasn't an easy. That's not an easy, because there's a wheel route, and it's essentially a double move. And you know, he's having to ride the hip and then turn his eyes back once he rides the hip and locate the football. And he did an exceptional job against a good football player. You know, so. You know, he's played well. I've been proud of Daniel. You know, he played early in the season. You know, he played okay. You know, got replaced at one point and has found himself back in the starting lineup and has responded well. You know, with some high character stuff. So we're very proud of him.
And then special teams wise, Alex Cueto had a big game last week, and then you go out and block 2 kicks today. What can you say about the impact that special teams has had the past couple of games?
Oh, I think it's been big, and I think the special teams are always. I think special teams has had an impact all season, not always positive. You know, and so I mean, we be honest, and those guys have done a good job of responding. Coach Holland's done a good job of making sure that we've caught their attention on a couple of things, and you know, being able to kick field goals last week. I think Alex Cueto's field goal today was big in the second quarter there. That long field goal, especially when you've got as many. I mean, our whole PAT unit has gone to scraps. You know, essentially, in these last couple of weeks with Sitzler out and Grantham out, and then you lose Blair today. You lose Marshall Tolson in the middle of that football game, and you've got a whole new protection unit. So what Rocky's done is really pretty special, to be quite honest with you. But then being able to block some kicks today, and I thought the last 4 minutes of the first half was an important piece of the football game, where we kicked the field goal with a little over 2 minutes left. Maybe it was a little under 2 minutes left. I can't exactly remember, but made them force it. We forced them to use a timeout. They had 2 timeouts, and we shifted on the kickoff unit. Those kids executed that really well. Forced them to call a timeout, and brings them to 1 timeout that they had to burn early on a couple draw plays. And I thought that was a big piece of the football game too. And our kids executed it. And that's what I want our kids to understand is when we execute, we're pretty good. I mean, we're real good. But we've got to clean up some of the slop, and that's on us as coaches, but that's also on them, as players too, where they have to, they've got to own it a little bit. I can't carry the ball for you. I can't see the signals for you. I can punish you, but at the end of the day, it's not. That's not on me. That's on you. And that's what we have to continue to learn. We got to keep working with them. We got to keep working with them as coaches, and we've got to do a better job of finding ways to make it relevant. And because when we execute, I think we're pretty stinking good. When we play clean football, and so now I'm proud of them. I don't sound like it maybe, but I am. I am proud of them, and I found a way to win when against a football team that scored a bunch of points on a lot of people this year, and but found a way to grind it out and just kind of a toughness win. So I was happy with that.
Dawson Huddleston and Johnny Bizell are 2 guys that kind of get overshadowed a little bit by Dustin and Preach, but Had some nice catches today. What can you say about their performances so far this season?
You know, those kids are tough kids, and they just do what we ask them to do. Those kids have played a lot of different positions because it's been a little bit of a revolving door at the wide receiver position. We're pretty beat up. I mean, you lose McHale Hall against Central Missouri. You lose Josh Moore this week. You know, he's back at home at a funeral. You know, Tyrone Howell goes out early in the year with a shoulder injury, and so those guys have kind of had to be a jack of all trades in the receiving corps. So it's been a tough year with some of that stuff, and that constitutes some of the sloppiness, and there is no question about that. But I'm very proud of those kids. They've found a way to keep fighting, and you know, Dawson Huddleston with the big onside kick recovery. You know, got lit up on it, but you know, found a way to hold on, which I thought was a big deal. You go down and score and separate again. So. Tough kids do a great job.
And finally, what do you want to see from your team heading into the President's Cup next week?
I just want to see clean football. You know, I sound like a broken record a little bit right now, but I truly believe our kids, we are really talented. If you play clean football, you win football games by a lot. You know, and at the end of the day, yeah, winning and losing is important. But at the end of the day, really, what's most important is how do you perform? What was your performance? How well did you execute? How clean were you? You know, were you focused enough, you know, to execute special situations? And you know, and we had a couple blunders out there today, and it wasn't just turnovers. You know, running the call, you know, that was called. You know, communicating at a high level to make sure everybody's on the same page. That's clean football, you know, and you got to do that as, you know, in the workplace. You got to do that. You got to do that in a family unit. You know, that's life, man. You know, it's about execution and play and being clean, and that's the thing I think that football teaches. Football and college teach, and they go hand in hand. I mean, you learn in soft skills. You know, and how to function really, you know, in the real world. I think football's a microcosm for life. You know, you can't be sloppy with your finances and be okay at the end of the day. You know, you can't be sloppy with your moral compass when you're a married man and be okay. You can't be sloppy with how you go about your business with your kids. It's not okay. You know, you want clean, be clean. You know, and that's what we're asking them to do.
Okay, Central Oklahoma at home again next week against Northeastern State. Of course, that game for the President's Cup. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.